Welcome, Business Geeks, to another Business Geeks podcast. I hope the music's loud enough. I'm Super Joe Pardo from superjoepardo.com. I'm joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, Jennifer Crawford from Sparent.co and Samantha Riley from SamanthaRiley.global. So happy to have you join us as well as you two to join us. Jennifer, we are celebrating a birthday today, and I believe that it is your birthday that we are celebrating.
Well, thank you. It's not today. I don't think. What is today?
Well, today.
Well, it is in Australia.
Oh,
it is your birthday in Australia, so we are celebrating your birthday.
It's my Australian birthday. Yes. Like a fine wine, I am getting better with age. I might not know what day it is, though. Yes, and I was delivered this. Can I show it?
Yeah. Please do. There we go.
It's hard to see because it's so large, so it doesn't fit into my giant screen. But it is a beautiful edible arrangement. They are not a sponsor, so I know this was a small investment. But thank you so much. You guys are the sweetest.
Oh, well, so welcome.
Thank you for organizing that, Joe. That was a little bit hard to organize from Australia, so I'm a bit excited that you could do that.
Yeah, well, funny story. I got texts about this edible arrangement, and they mentioned Joe, but I ignored them because someone used to have my phone number. His name is Joe, and I often get texts and messages directed to him, and they're usually bankruptcy related or something. So when I saw the Joe show up and it was an edible arrangement, I just assumed they were talking to Joe, the former owner of my phone number, and so I just ignored it. And well, now it all makes sense.
I'm glad it all worked out in the end.
It did. Oh my gosh. And it's even got chocolate covered strawberries. Oh.
Yay!
I was struggling over how much chocolate to include because I didn't want to include too much chocolate and not enough chocolate. Finding the right
there was a very big discussion over the ratio of chocolate to fruit.
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, personally, I don't think you go wrong with chocolate, but this is beautiful and it looks very balanced. So,
lovely.
Thank you. And thanks, Lorraine, in the comments for wishing me a happy birthday. It's so sweet.
Oh, you're so welcome. Sam, how are you doing down in Australia today? Is the world still turning down the
world's
future?
Still turning. The sun is shining. It is nice and hot today, and it's another great day in paradise.
It is. Oh, man. Okay, we have so much to jump into today. We have topics. We have questions. I wanted to start, though, by bringing up this topic, or not topic, but I got a Facebook notification, and it was a Facebook notification for a celebrity who commented on somebody's post. And I thought, this is a great way to kick off the show. And so here we go, right? So Frankie Randazzo says, in case you were wondering, I don't know Frankie, by the way. In case you were wondering, John Taffer, who does Bar Rescue, and his overnight remodels of bars and restaurants is not only unrealistic, it's an impossible task. Work continues on the Panorama Music House in downtown Lake Charles, which I believe he's in Texas, because when I was looking up his thing, but hoping to reopen from Hurricane Laura's damage soon. So he put up some pictures and some videos of, fixing up the place and, great job, right? I mean, Hurricane Laura, when was Hurricane Laura? That was a little while ago, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Let me see. The Hurricane Laura was it was in 2020 because it hit Houston, I believe. I could be wrong. It hit in Louisiana, but I thought at least that this said that the Panorama Music House is located in, oh, it is in LA. So in not Los Angeles, Louisiana, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, they're doing this, but who should reply just like literally a minute or two after, but John Taffer himself.
Oh,
And
wow.
he says, we do it every week with no pre-design. So of course I had to reply, the man, the myth, the legend, oh snap. Uh, John, I've been seeing a lot of John Taffer lately in my Facebook feed. Like, people will tag him, and then he just says, he says thank you. So I'm assuming he has somebody else doing that
I
for him
would
because he's
say
probably
so.
a pretty busy man. But pretty cool to see, and then to have it show up in my notifications, even cooler. So shout out to all them. And Frankie says, because the building was destroyed in a hurricane and the work to reopen is almost overwhelming, which is a big difference. I should say, like having your building literally destroyed by a hurricane, then say we're going to gut what's already here, keep what we can keep, and put in on top of or replace, right? Big
Yeah.
difference.
Mm.
Big difference. So yeah. And the ones that he's done where they were was hurricane based, I think like one in Puerto Rico. That one I believe was more than like an overnight thing as well. I think it was more like a 3 or 4 day, because there's a lot that needs to be done when you're talking about that level of damage.
Yeah.
I would have been way more impressed if he had have come in and given some offer of help or some sort of
Mm.
ideas of how he could do it rather than just go, no, we can do it. I don't know. It would have been nice to see something a little bit more.
I will agree. I'll agree with that.
Good point.
Yeah. I feel that. Especially cuz he did a whole lot of episodes down in Louisiana as well. So it's would be nice for him to be there. So Sam, you brought up this topic, and feel free to add your questions down below because we have a couple of questions we're going to get to in a little bit here. But I think you put this
I
in our
did.
spreadsheet, right?
I did. I really like this idea. It says Taco Bell to launch first ever business school for employees. I really love this. I love that corporates are helping employees to learn more, to really put into their career, elevate their career. I think this is fabulous because, as we know, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. There's only a very small number of us that can do what we do. So I love that Taco Bell has this option. I don't think that they are the first ever business school because I know back in the very early 90s, my husband back at the time was management in McDonald's, and he went to McDonald's University and got a diploma in business back then. But I really love this, and I wanted to bring this up because I think as business owners, we should really take this on board. I know that when we did our staff reviews or our team reviews last year, one of the questions we asked each of them separately was, what would you like to learn more about? Is there something in the business that you would like to learn that you're not currently doing? How, would you like to be learning extra, doing workshops? And they all told us what they wanted to be learning, and we went ahead and purchased different courses for them to do. And I just think that this was a really great opening to sort of have that discussion, to say that we have so much more opportunity to, I guess, create ripples of impact in our business over and above our clients. And I think that a lot of people purely think of their clients rather than thinking bigger picture and how can we develop our team as well.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, I love that they're investing in their people. And, we hear a lot about, companies putting profit first instead of people first. It's a subject I feel really strongly about. But the thing that people don't understand when you say putting people first, putting people before profits, is that you're not saying people instead of profits. Like, it's actually a really long-term way of thinking, right? So here's Taco Bell investing in the education and training of some of their top employees because they want them to become franchise owners, and they make ideal franchise owners because they know the business rather than somebody coming out of, left field who's never worked in a restaurant and potentially could, run a franchise into the ground. These people have the most chance of being successful running those restaurants. So it's just such a positive, like, feedback loop, positive ecosystem. It makes so much sense. Kudos to Taco Bell.
I know
Absolutely.
when we one of the things that we did back in the day at part of Truck Service Parts was we invested in a bigger conference room so that we could, and we outfitted it with a projector and speakers and desks that were able to be set up in a classroom style as well as a conference room style, and they like interlocked and stuff like that. And that was huge because we were able to train people in our vendors. So our vendors would send their sales reps with like the latest trainings and the latest going ons in the industry, and we would actually cycle people through because we had locations all over the place up here in the Northeast. So we would cycle our team members, our counter guys and girls, and go out to those places and be able to cycle them back so they could go for a 2-3 hour training and learn like the newest stuff that's going on in air conditioning parts or in brake technology and get these certificates so that they were better suited to be able to help help our customers and all of that. But yeah, I think it's great to see that. I think the other thing that the other thing that it does is it helps the corporates on the corporate side. So even if they're not necessarily going to go be franchise owners, because like that's a big ask of somebody, it does give them the opportunity to like go and do the schooling. And even if they leave Taco Bell, because usually they some of the best advice I've ever heard from people that like work within like Disney, the Disney company, is like get a bunch of experience, leave Disney or leave that company, and then look to come back when you have more experience so you can be higher up on the ladder and more appreciated, because a lot of times they like to hire from the outside rather than necessarily inside, which I don't particularly agree with. But there is something to be said for that, so you don't get stuck with like the same like a feedback loop of ideas, because it's like, well, I've only worked one place and it was Taco Bell. That's the only experience I have, and it becomes like a feedback loop, kind of like Pepsi or Coke, where it's like the people that get promoted there are the people that know how to go get sales, not necessarily people that know how to innovate or change the game or come up with new flavors or something to that effect.
Love it.
So yeah, let's see. We have you shared this story as well, Sam, about Meghan Markle.
I did, and I didn't share it specifically because it's Meghan Markle, even though I actually really like her. I shared this because it was talking about the huge hate campaign that she's had. And they've found that 70% of the hate campaign started from just 83 accounts. I wanted to talk about this because it just proves that what we see on the internet is not necessarily true, and it is very quick to get caught into that vacuum. So if those 83 accounts had never posted, would the other 30% of people started to hate her as well? Like, this just blows my mind that something so big can happen. And obviously there's other political campaigns around the place. Let's just say that this is happened to too. And I think that I wanted to just bring it up to say what we see on social media not only is not true, but and we all know that, but just how quickly we can get sucked into a vortex of made up vitriol.
Not only that, but it's orchestrated, it's planned, it's not random. These aren't just 83 random people. Like, this is an organized effort in order to achieve a very defined outcome. And in this case, unfortunately, the outcome was to smear and discredit and ruin the public perception of Meghan Markle, and they were effective at,
absolutely,
just by smearing this false story. This is the age of misinformation, and nobody is safe, from science to celebrities. We are, not we, but there are people who are making it a business to influence in the worst way possible.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, this
scary.
talks
It's
about
frightening.
$400,000 made on those YouTube channels
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
combined, which is
It's scary stuff because
crazy.
I guess when I saw this post, it opens up the thought like this could happen to any of us at any time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of open it up, and because my first thought was I have no idea how I'd even deal with something like this. Like, I don't know if anyone's got any answers, but it's a really big topic.
I mean, I don't particularly have any real answers for that. What I wanted to point out was, the piling on that that there are people they're all, faking it. In fact, I was having a conversation with somebody literally yesterday that pointed out something about, and I'm not going to get into details. You can easily Google this, but Instagram models flying across the world is funded by unsavory practices that are being done, and this stuff goes back to like 2019. This was written about, so I'm like, wow, I had no idea, and assuming that this is real, wow, this is crazy, right? So it gives that perception that like, hey, I'm living the crazy awesome life, I'm traveling every which way, and it's like, but that ain't cheap, and the way you're probably doing it is not by posting on Instagram.
Yeah, there's
it's just throwing it out there, and it makes me very upset and sickened to my stomach to actually learn about that, as well as I think everybody just always needs that reminder that like what you see on the internet is maybe not the most truest, form of what you're seeing. Yeah. You're seeing it through a lens. There's a really good, I think we looked at this before. Was it Instagram in real life, where it's like, the ladies like sitting there by the pool, and it's like somebody's taking a picture of them taking the picture, and it's like there's like kids and all like right next to them, or they're at the beach by themselves, but it's like they're very much not at the beach by themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Or the behind the scenes of the pictures in Greece, where you just see when you turn it around and there's this just big line of people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the problem is these people are like leveraging the fact that perception is reality, right? Like, so now Meghan Markle, is perceived a certain way and has become hated. They have created this reality off of false pretenses, but it starts to become the truth because that's the perception they've created very strategically. It's frightening on a number of levels.
It is so scary. Yeah.
So not to go down the political rabbit hole, because we are very much not.
I don't want to go down that route.
but I want a political ad caught my eye and my ear the other day, where the person campaigning specifically in the ad said, "I will conquer, or I will defeat or fight the quote unquote woke mob." Now, whatever you think of that as far as woke mob is whatever, but the first thing that came to my thought was, so you're going to defeat Twitter? Like, that's where like 99% of this whole like ethos lives. Like, I don't what? Like, how is like that? Like, you're giving power to something that doesn't even necessarily need to have power to it. And in a lot of cases, it's the same thing as Meghan Markle. It's just Meghan Markle is a much higher profile person, that the whole like woke mob thing and the hate thing affects. So it's like something that's like less. It really, it's like usually it comes down to like a handful of accounts, and then what happens? Somebody picks up the story because it makes a great headline, and next thing you know, it becomes a thing that wasn't a thing, and a lot of those things have kind of just disappeared. Like, and I'm not, I don't even want to mention things, but if you'll like, if you live in the States, and you go to Target, you know what I'm talking about.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy
stuff.
So, Locutus, good to see you in the chat. Says back in the summer when the European Cup was happening, it was England versus Italy. Some of the England players received racist abuse online after some of the non-white players missed on penalties. On further analysis, it appears most of the racial abuse came from a minority of accounts, but account for vast majority of the abuse. I mean, we see this with celebrities all the time, where it's like, I have 20 million followers on Twitter. I mean, we saw it with Donald Trump, and I think maybe even Obama, like when they went and cut out a large swath of Twitter bots, and all of a sudden their follow count went way down. Like it wasn't nearly as big as it was, and that's not to be pro this person or negative to that, like, but just the fact of the matter is Twitter did their job and cut out Twitter bots, and it cut out a lot of people's follow counts that they may or may not have bought or even knew about, right? So that's the kind of thing where it's like you have to be able to do that kind of research to see, like, is this real? And I'll tell you, like, I don't think we've talked about it on this show, but there was somebody that caught my eye. I forget when it was, and I went to her Instagram and was like checking it out, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, okay, but I'm looking at all the engagement, and all the engagement around it, it was like one-word answers, and in some cases was like the same answer from a very specific answer that wasn't the same as what the other, like, ooh, I want that lead magnet, ooh, I want that lead, it was a very specific answer, and that was written a couple of times, and I'm like, so is there bots for the bot? Like, is there bots botting for somebody to like as comments? Like, I mean, to buy likes likes is one thing, to buy followers is one thing, but to buy comment, like create a comment machine to make people feel like they're missing out on something it's not impossible, but God, like I could see falling into that trap of thinking that I'm missing out.
Totally. I think there's this really dangerous place that we can get caught in this vacuum of believing these things are real. And I was chatting about this with a friend on my podcast the other day, saying that I believe that social media is taking away the art of debate, the art of actually asking questions and seeing and understanding that there's another side to everything, and thinking, oh, that person doesn't agree with them, block. And I think there's a line between make sure you surround yourself with really great people, but on the other hand, don't just put yourself in a vacuum. Like, we learn and we understand, and there's all these things from having debates and listening to other people's ideas, or the perception, the way that they see things. And I think that, I would like to see more people bringing that back and understanding that there are different ways of seeing things, and not just taking like this is black and white, because it's not.
Yeah, like we've
100%.
lost critical thinking skills. We
Mm-hmm.
we don't entertain any. We don't spend any time in the gray area, and that's the majority. Like everything's just black or white. I agree, Sam. I don't know. That probably starts at a young age. Learning critical thinking skills probably more important than ever in the school system, to teach those skills, to teach how to look at two sides, how to filter through information, how to do proper research, like all of these things. I mean, it's a huge problem, and it's not going to be solved overnight. It's going to have to be a concerted effort by some large institutions that are going to have to lead the way. But I totally agree, Sam. Like, it is wild out there. Like, reading comments, like if you see a post, I don't know about you, but occasionally I'll see somebody post something, and I'm just curious about what the chatter is going to be, like how people are reacting to a particular news story. And I'm always surprised at how quick people are to come to like an immovable opinion and then attack each other. That somebody has an opinion that doesn't match theirs, then it's you go for the jugular. It's kind of disheartening.
Absolutely.
It is, and we the sad part is a lot of times it's so funny to watch those. Like, that's what I don't usually comment on those. I read the comments because I think it's more
me too.
entertaining than anything.
I don't know.
But it is sad. And you know what's funny? The best ones are the ones where people didn't actually read the article. They just looked at the headline and was like,
How many of those are there? So many keyboard warriors. Like, you didn't even read the article.
nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So that is one of those that I just it is a shame, and it's a problem that we will probably continue to deal with. 10 years from now, we'll still be talking about the probably the same problem. Whether maybe it gets a little better, maybe it doesn't. I don't.
I just hope that someone maybe saw this and maybe had believed that everything on social media is real. I don't think so, but let's hope that it's helped one person realize that there's a lot of BS out there.
Yeah,
we'll
keep fighting the good fight.
Is.
Yeah,
100%. Ding to that. So this question came up. Dear Super Joe, how are you, buddy? I've been meaning to ask you. You highly recommend responding to reviews on social media, and I'm looking back at my Facebook page, my Instagram, my Google business, and I realized I haven't been responding to those. Is it too late to respond to them now? They've posted months and some years ago. What do you recommend? And so the reason I bring this up, I answered the question as a reply. But I'm like, I got two great, business geeks that I could, tap into here and get a solid answer from. So I would love to hear what you two think about this answer or this question.
Go ahead, Sam. You take it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You throw me under the bus here, Joe. I had no idea this was coming. I actually think it's a really great opportunity to go and reconnect with those people and actually call light on, hey, I missed these and, thank you so much, or, responding or whatever. I think it's an opportunity to go back and reconnect. That would be I'm guessing by the ding that we have got the same idea there, Joe. And Jen, would love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, well, I think we're 3 for 3. Commenting on something that's a year or years old, I think the relevance is probably not to the person who you're responding to, because they've probably moved on. But the relevance is that anybody coming and looking at your reviews is going to notice, that you're thoughtful response to and that you're involved and engaged in your business. They're not going to necessarily notice or know what date you responded to those comments or reviews. And we're talking about testimonials, right? Like reviews,
I guess, comments and on Facebook, things like that.
I mean, better late than never. I mean, what could it possibly hurt? But great advice that you got from Super Joe Pardo on replying to comments and reviews.
Well, you mentioned the date, Jen, but Joe, don't you see the dates when people leave their comments, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably would mention, like, if there's a date there, I would mention, hey, I'm really sorry, I've missed this. I've just seen this, and I wanted to acknowledge, just so that people go, oh wow, like they didn't comment for 2 years. Like, may as well just shine light on the situation.
Yeah, you might as well face up to it. That's so true. But I'm just thinking, people's observational skills, they might not make.
They're quite lacking, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's always some that are going to notice that.
There will be, and so is that so the reason specifically, Jen, I wanted to wait to have you answer this question because you ran Social Media Rescue, and is this something that you would do as part of Social Media Rescue, is go backwards, or you only worked going forwards at the time?
Yeah, I mean, we would. Yeah, I don't think we've had that exact situation, but we would have gone back. I was always really shocked at how many businesses. You saw it a lot in the restaurant industry. The reviews would just go completely ignored, good and bad. But we've talked about this before. That responding to people personally after they've had an experience with your business, good or bad, it is such a pro move, and it's such a way to get that intelligence and make things right if they had a bad experience, but also show appreciation when they've had a good experience. So Yeah.
Can I ask a question on that? Because I think this is important too. Well, these companies weren't necessarily going out of their way to ignore them or didn't think it was worth commenting. My guess is, and am I right in thinking it's just that maybe they don't have a background in social media or a background in business. Maybe their key genius is actually being in the restaurant industry, cooking or, front of house, and they've just not realized that it's there. Is that what's happening? There's no
Sometimes,
system to go, and
yeah.
the reviews come in and it's just gone unnoticed.
The thing I would see is either it was a business owner that was just too busy, just too busy to even like slow down and like take the time. They just didn't, were just overwhelmed. The other thing I saw was that they were afraid to reply, afraid of trolls, afraid that they would just stir the hornet's nest, so to speak. And then the third thing would be that they were defensive, and we're just like, that's nonsense. I have a great place. Like, that's not true. And really they were just in denial about their business. They had too much ego associated with it and couldn't step back and look at the customer's feedback and see that there might be an issue. And it was really frustrating because there were always issues that were fixable, always things that they could easily fix. So those were the three scenarios I saw most often.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I came back to part of Fleet Solutions, and we started to put a bigger focus on those online reviews. We get a lot of negative. It was easier to get the negative ones where people were unhappy with the outcome of their truck, because it's like, well, I mean, look, we had it for 3 days. You've had the truck for 3 years or 4 years. What we did in 3 days is not going to change the way that the truck was handled in the years leading up to that moment, right? But the outcome would always be a sticking point, and so we got some nasty reviews there on, and that's why I had to battle with my dad and the manager and the other other manager as well, of like, do we reply to it? Do we just delete? My dad's like, oh, we'll just delete it, like, get rid of it. And I'm like,
yeah, it doesn't work like
that. No, bad. No, do not delete it, because you want to stir the hornet's nest. Do that. That's exactly what you do. Is you delete it, because then they're gonna go get all their friends and they're gonna go and make it even worse for you, right? And I've talked about this in a video like a couple of years back, about a friend of mine who runs a pressure washing company. And he actually had somebody that was so upset with him, he paid for offshore reviews, negative reviews, to bomb bomb Facebook, bomb Google. And the problem is people see the star rating and then that's all they see. They don't actually click on it and say, this company's based in like South Jersey, Philadelphia. Why is every single name an Indian name? From a name out of India? Like, what? Like, how? What? But people see the star rating and they just move on. So he to fight it, while he was fighting with Google, while he was fighting with Facebook to get those removed, because they were clearly erroneous. Like, it was pretty obvious. They all came within like minutes of each other, right? And all at the same time. And eventually he got them removed. He took it as an initiative to go and get positive reviews, because he wasn't doing that before. So I always like, look, get pick one. If it's Google, if it's Facebook, if it's don't use Yelp, but if you can help it, and hammer that, to get as many reviews as you possibly can. So when somebody does write that negative review, you don't go from like 5 stars down to 1 star or 2 stars. And that's what I had to tell a friend of mine who is just starting up her business, because she was deathly afraid. She's like, this person was so mean. They're gonna write this nasty review, and they did it to other people. And I was like, well, maybe you should. I don't know if you should have worked with them that on your project, with them. But hey, you do what you got to do when you're getting started, right? And because she was like, well, is there any way for me to like get it taken down, like take those reviews down, or should I even have a Facebook page because I don't want people to write negative things? I was like, no, just respond. If it does happen, just respond to them. Try to have them reach out to you, ask for them to reach out to you so you can make it work. And the thing is it's not for them because they probably don't care at that point. It's for the people reading it, to see that you care, to see your response, see that you're like, hey, we screw up. We're not perfect, but we're willing to try to make it right. And if you come to us, meet us halfway here, we can try to work this out. And that's it. And I honestly, we never heard from any of those people, but at least the record shows like we wrote a thoughtful response and we cared enough to do anything about it. So yes, it sucks that you didn't do it all this time, but today, no day like today, right? To get started.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man. So so this other question came in, and so I wanted to pose this to both of you. I did leave my answer for this question, but I'm curious as to what my two co-hosts here think of this. So the question, and they don't know this is coming. So
nope.
And I love the name, by the way. My son's name's Dominic. I'm Joseph. Joseph. Joe, do you want to be a shark? Sam, do you want to be a shark?
I don't. But the question was, do you want to be a shark?
Yeah.
Well, so you want to hear my answer first, so you can copy my notes.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you think.
So my abbreviated answer to this is maybe someday, but that is, I'm fine with playing my part and my role here and helping entrepreneurs literally all over the world. I mean, today I was talking to someone in Ghana, right, who is 20 years old and doesn't know a single entrepreneur around him, right? And so many other people, from like signing up for my email list to reaching out in the comments to reaching out via email off of my website, like that to me is everything, right? Giving those people a voice to listen to. A voice of reason, a voice that's not trying to sell them. Here's your $1 million box. Go like buy this box and you will be a millionaire too. Like, hooray, let's go. No, that's not what I'm here to do. You will never see me sell that magic bullet solution because there is no magic bullet. And I mean, hell, I don't like to curse, but I have a book called Sales Won't Save Your Business. And that's because sales literally will not just save your business. There's more to it than that. It's more complicated than that. And so I am very happy playing my part here and my role. And at some point, and I'll tell you, like I want to say the middle of 2020, towards the end of 2020, I go out for runs almost daily. It's been kind of hard this year, like so far in the beginning of this year, because of the kids being home, and it's been a hectic, illness kind of year. Everybody's safe, nobody's sick, but everybody else is getting sick, and that creates a problem. So, I said to myself, I'm going to play my position and drive that home as much as I possibly can. And so figuring out like what position, thanks Siri. No, I'm not going to say that again. Yes, I will say it again. I play my position, play my role, and drive that home as much as I possibly can with the people that it resonates with. And that, to me, is going to take me or you listening, watching right now, so much further than trying to be everything to everyone and hitting, they always say play big. I don't disagree with the play big thing, but I think first you got to play your role, right? Play your position as much as you possibly can so that people can count on you to be there through that consistency that you create for them. And in this case, it's a safe haven for people who are entrepreneurs, who actually want to be an entrepreneur, create service businesses, create products, work with their communities and do the best that they possibly can to serve them. So, to me, that's what this is all about. This isn't about like, let me find the magic bullet and like sell that and hawk that forever. Cause that's just not me.
So well said, Joe. And what I loved about what you said was that playing big doesn't necessarily mean going to where the people think the top is, like being that person, because there are so many roles to play. And I think that understanding where you're, well, doing your apprenticeship, which is generally what you're talking about. I mean, you've done your apprenticeship, but there's different levels, right? So not only understanding where you fit there, but also understanding that there are actually different roles for all of us to play into our genius, because there's 5, 6 sharks. That's not many, and they can't help everyone. There needs to be the other things that are happening along the way. So love it. Love what you said.
Well, thank you. And do you want to be a shark? Would you like to be a shark? Would you like to be in that position down in Australia?
No. It's
No.
not my strong suit. Yeah. Not
okay.
interested. I like what I do. And the way that I do it, I prefer coaching people rather than just. So I understand that they do coach people, once they've gone through the process. But I think that we can help way more people, or I'm talking about myself. I can help way more people doing what I'm doing now.
What about you, Jen?
Yeah, I don't see myself at, going the shark route. I mean, I'm kind of like you guys. I really love and adore my business, the direction that it's in, the mission. This is the business where I've applied all my lessons, all the hard lessons in my long life. And I'm loving how that is playing out. So, and I just love helping the people within, the scope of that business and the business's mission. So yeah. Don't think I need to be a shark.
And I think that what's also really relevant is that there's so many different types of businesses.
Yeah.
And to be talking about products is not my strongest suit either. So that's why a shark doesn't appeal to me, because that's not where my knowledge is best served. My knowledge is best served in other areas. That doesn't mean that I'm not good at business. It's just that it's not that type of business.
Yeah.
So I think Locutus has a great point. Would either of you be interested in being a guest shark if that came up?
Oh, I can tell you what I would prefer. I would be a guest on something like Bar Rescue. That is more up my alley. Like, that to me is exciting. I love the idea of how can we make this better? What's the customer journey like? How can we make the experience better? That's definitely more up my alley than being a shark. So I'll be a guest bar rescuer.
What about you, Jen?
I love it. I think being a guest shark, might be fun. I think I would love it more if, there was some sort of, what can I say? If we could help, minority business owners, BIPOC, people that don't have as many opportunities, particularly, in getting funding for businesses and that sort of thing. I don't, sorry, Joe, but I don't need to see another privileged white guy get $1 million deal. And that's just me. I would have more fun helping people that needed a little bit more. So, yeah.
Oh, and that's part of why we're here, right? And that's
totally
answering those questions. So it does play into that, and I think not that I don't disagree with you, Jen.
We still love you, Joe.
I love you too, but it's but look, I don't know I don't know what the right thing to say there is. What I do know is that Locutus asked if any of us would want to be on The Apprentice, and I'll tell you, I've never watched the show before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I really like The Apprentice.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, and I always thought I'd be really good at it.
I did too, and I think I'd be really great at it, and I'd probably be fired first. Walk away with my tail between my legs. No, I like that, because for me it's all about thinking outside the box and what putting our heads together and what can you do that's a little bit different. Yeah, you should watch just a couple of episodes of The Apprentice, Joe.
Yeah.
I will have to look into that. It never came up as a thing to watch. But I would love to, on the along the lines of the bar rescue thing. I would love to be a guest on that, or a guest on The Prophet. Though I don't think The Prophet actually exists. I think the show ended at this point,
Mm.
because it looks like Marcus Lemonis has moved on to doing house renovations of all
Oh.
things. Yeah,
figure.
like.
All right.
Yeah, I guess that's his new thing to want to get involved in. And Lokia says, I mean, instead of being a shark, what about being a full-time mentor on The Apprentice? Well,
We've got all the things happening here.
My feelings on that is, maybe even more so than being a shark specifically, or even a guest shark. I would love to just work with the people that are going to be going on the show, because it's very apparent to me through doing the interviews that they don't have anybody working with these people that are before they go on the show. It's very much up to you to figure it out, and that's really tough. So I think if I was in a position, I mean, maybe as a guest shark is fine, whatever, but really, I would love to work with the individual businesses and then get paid by Sony/ABC to go and do said thing, and work with those businesses to figure out, like, all right, let's not figure out a crazy valuation here, and try to like talk them into a position of potential power, and like getting a deal, and maybe fixing some of the structure problems that they have in their business. And I will hint at the fact that. I reached out today to a shark, so we will see if I get them on an interview, because one of the things I want to have them on for is to talk about, structuring the business for success for an investor, because that's very different than structuring a business to be like, hey, I'm making money and we're paying the bills and everybody's, we're employing a couple people. Like, that's a very different look than like, hey, we want someone to come in and give us like even $100,000, $50,000 to do X, Y, and Z to grow the business.
Yeah, I love that. And I would definitely prefer to be that behind the scenes person, mentoring and helping too. That's more where I would prefer to be, not the talent that's up the front that's just there to make a good show, because that's what they're there for. They're not really there to help. They're there to make a good TV show. But behind the scenes, I would love to be there behind the scenes mentoring.
Yeah, I'm not sure what show Otto is referring to. We're in season 16. Is it still worth watching? Is The Apprentice still going on? I didn't think it was going on anymore.
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure what
I assumed it was
show.
not.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't.
think it was.
Yeah,
Although
it
I
got-
do think in Australia we've got a Celebrity Apprentice, I think that's in filming at the moment.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll see.
Very cool, very cool. So yeah, it's always something fun to think about and to see, where the future takes us. But all that future starts with figuring out your position and moving forward with it. So, yeah. So we have what was the other thing? Oh, UK Apprentice is still on. New season is being broadcasted today. Oh wow.
Cool.
Well, that is
There you go.
cool. In a bit of sad news, I wanted to take a moment, because I actually lost like basically 2 family members in like a week. Well, both of them related to the business, the part of Fleet Solutions. First, shout out to Johnny. He battled through the illness for a while before succumbing to, I think it was like double pneumonia. So it's heartbreaking, because he was not. I think he was maybe 55.
Wow.
Very very young. And that that really sucks, because he became our shop manager or shop foreman after being with my family in the truck repair business since he was like, I don't know, 16, 17. So he had been with us for a long time, and he succumbed to it. Yeah, last week I think it was late last week he succumbed to his battle with
That's a family member right there.
illness.
Yeah.
So much love to friends, family,
Yeah.
business family, everyone. That's awful.
Yeah, it really is. And then my great aunt passed away, who was married to my great uncle, Mike, who started, was one of the founding members of the truck repair business that eventually became part of Fleet Solutions. She had a bout with, I want to say it was cancer for a while. And yeah, she just succumbed to it yesterday afternoon. And but fortunately, I did get to see her before she passed, and I got to see her twice. One of the two times I got to talk to her, like literally days before she just stopped talking because she was basically out of it, and it was really, it's a special thing to be able to tell people that you appreciate them and how much you love them and how much of an impact that they made on your life, even when she wasn't like my closest aunt by any stretch, right? Because she's my great aunt, but she, there was a lot of things that happened in my life, especially towards the last like 20 years or so of my life, that she was actually helped play integral roles in, mostly behind the scenes. But she worked with my great uncle in that company in what was called Pioneer Truck Sales, which still exists to this day as kind of a paper company underneath of Pardo Fleet Solutions. And what she came on my show, on my podcast back in 2014 as a to give a post, how do you say it, I know I'm saying it wrong.
Oh, I know.
Posthumously,
Yeah.
posthumous.
Yeah, what she said.
Posthumously.
Interview for my uncle, but it talks a lot about, because she was in the business day in and day out. She was the brains of the business, while my uncle, was a mechanical wizard and did like anything with trucks. He was not the customer service friendly that Sue was, and definitely not necessarily the numbers person at all. That was all Sue, and eventually Sue and my cousin Maria. But yeah, it's really, it's really sad to have somebody like that. But they met in 1985. And she was working for another trucking company when he started to get to work with that company that she was working for, and that turned into like their relationship and all that stuff. So it was really interesting to go back to those stories and have it recorded in a way that most people don't get that kind of stuff recorded. So very fortunate to that, and yeah, it's a big light dimmed yesterday for sure.
Well, rest in peace, great Aunt Sue. She sounds like a cool woman. Very
She
cool.
really was. She was one of the coolest people in my family. No offense to everybody else, but she really was, and she put up with a lot of crap because my uncle was a bear. For sure, but he was nice and cuddly. He was a teddy bear behind the scenes, but up front, during the day, it was not always fun to be over there. A lot of yelling and screaming, not on her part. I don't know that I've ever, maybe once ever heard her raise her voice, but she just was she was just so awesome, and being able to handle so much and be so wise and kind to the people around her, and yeah, it's a shame that she's no longer with us.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry for your loss. So two right in a row. That's no.
Yeah. I'm hoping that there isn't a third, because like the stuff's supposed to come in threes.
No.
It doesn't have to come in threes, Joe.
God, I hope not. Please don't. Please don't.
No.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Hopefully not. I appreciate it, Locutus. It definitely. If you want to check out that podcast episode, I can put it in the description below. And if you go to my website, superjoepardo.com, you do the search button, type in Mike space Pardo, and it'll come up. And it was really, you can hear, it's funny going back and listening. I was so bad at being on the mic. It was very robotic from me. So it was kind of hard. It was kind of cringe to hear myself, but to hear her.
Oh, it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Jennifer asks, Joe, I need a video host. PM me. I'm not sure what do you mean by video host? Could you elaborate, Jennifer? I would love to help you, but I'm not sure what you mean by video host.
I'm curious.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we want to know. We want to know, don't we, Jen? We feel like we're on the outer here. We want the goss.
Video host.
There was one other story I wanted to bring up real quick. Maybe if Jennifer's still with us in the chat. Elon Musk, apparently he planned to take on Warren Buffett's See's Candies, but scrapped the idea after failing to find a superior candy. And this is like it screams the profit if you've ever watched the show, because like that's what Marcus Lemonis from what's it called, Camping World would do, is he would like go and seek out like what's the better mousetrap that I can go and plus up and enable other people to, you know, get more eyes and more customers for. And apparently Elon Musk could not find a better candy than See's Candy, which I personally have never had before. Have either of you had See's Candy before?
I've never heard of it, and I was hoping you were going to tell me that it was really amazing, because I really want to know now.
So it's a really old company from when because I looked this up, but of course it doesn't say in the article.
I think we're going to have to order some and do some taste testing ourselves.
So they have, I'm like pretty sure I've never had this candy before, but I just think it was something I wanted to pull up because of the fact that like, I think it's really funny that, you know, the richest person in the world was interested in candy so much that they would try to go after Warren Buffett, you know, and compete with him head on in a space that, I mean, look, it's good for our hearts, not our souls, right? It's not necessarily good for our cholesterol or whatever's, but it's not going to save the planet by any stretch, like the rest of his companies are trying to do. But
this surely was a bit of an ego play here.
That's what
I don't think it had anything to do with the candy.
It is probably, you're probably right, but I thought it was just so funny that, because I think it was founded in 1921 it was founded in, and I didn't honestly, I feel like I've heard of it before. Here's a picture from, this doesn't say when the picture was taken, but it's just really cool that it's old, and like apparently it's really good. And visited See's Candy Kitchen on La Cienega Boulevard.
That's a very famous
maybe that's where I heard about it from.
I've definitely heard of them. I don't think I've ever had them, but you know, for them to have that type of longevity, I'm sure it's very good candy. I'm sure it is.
But also I find it a little bit odd that you guys haven't heard of it. Like, obviously I'm in Australia, I've got an excuse, but if it's like that good, how is it not like a big thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna order some. I pulled up their website. I'm gonna order some. I have heard of it. I like never come across it in my.
Yeah, take one for the team, Jen. Awesome. Take one for the team.
I have a hard time believing he couldn't find a better candy anywhere, and like I don't know. I don't know.
I'm interested to see if you find like maybe it is that good. I don't know.
I don't know. And like how extensive did he search? Like there's a lot of like for instance, there's this tiny little town near our mountain house, which is it's the real life Mayberry. It's where Andy Griffith was born, Mount Airy, North Carolina. And there's a small independent candy shop there called Prudence McCabe's Confections. Best name ever.
Wow.
And they have the best truffles and candies I've ever had in my life. And I have done some taste testing, I'll admit. They're so good. And I'm sure if Elon Musk had walked into Prudence McCabe's Confections in Mount Airy, North Carolina, he may have changed his mind.
Well, I'm
It-
glad he didn't. They need to
He-
keep the flag flying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what was it? Was like a TV show or movie or something that was like that. Like, I want to get involved in popcorn, and they literally like scour the country for like every popcorn stand, and just like they're just taste testing, like sending all this. It was like popcorn or candy or something to that effect, like, or specific pie or something. And they're like, just send them all, get them all here, and we're gonna taste test them until we find the one that's the one. And it reminds me of there was an episode of The Prophet where he did key lime pie, because he was like, oh, this company makes the best key lime pie of all time, and they I think they were located in the Florida Keys, and they were quote unquote the original. And he gets there and they're using crust from the store. Like, they're buying,
no.
yeah. And he's like, okay, so we're going to redo the whole thing. Everything's getting redone here, and we're gonna bring in a chef, and we're going to figure out a new formula for your pie. And the owner was like, I don't like any of these. And like, basically, like, I think the owner like even told the chef off, and like, it was not going well, apparently. Yeah. So he's like, I can't sell these pies if they're not original pie. Like, if it's not original, like, what am I supposed to do with this? This isn't going to work. So it is one of those things where it's like, you really got to make sure that you're providing something that is different, unique to you. And even though if you win a whole bunch of awards for your store-bought or like 50% store-bought thing that's not fresh made, it's not good enough. It's not necessarily good enough.
But what if it's the favorite of all the people?
Yeah, wins that blind taste test over and over again.
Well, they did that in the show, and that's what finally won the owner over, was when they did blind taste tests with customers that came in.
Oh, and he lost. Yeah.
And he lost.
Oh, so we got an ending to the story.
Yes,
Oh, thank
yes.
goodness.
Oh, that was going to be an open loop that was going to be hard to focus all week.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up here, I got to say thank you to our sponsor, which is Your Podcast Concierge. If you have a podcast and you need an editor for it, then yourpodcastconcierge.com is your podcast editor. They take care of everything. They take care of everything in this show. Leon and his team do a wonderful job. So please go and support them.
Yeah.
Much love to them over there.
I mean, only if you want the best. Only if you want the best.
Yeah, good point, Jen. Because if
Only
you
if you want
don't,
the
then just don't.
If you want
don't go
someone
there.
to chop up and destroy your podcast, hire someone else. But if you want someone to handle it and handle it well, yourpodcastconcierge.com.
Ding, ding. Absolutely.
Jen, I love it.
Thank you so much, Locutus, for joining us.
Yes.
It's always appreciated having you, Otto, Lorraine, Tim, and Jennifer. Thank you all for joining us today for the live stream of this episode. You can get all of this podcast over at businessgeekspodcast.com. We will be back next week, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, right? You're in Daylight Time there, right? Yes, awesome. And we will be back then. So until then, I hope you have an amazing week, and take care.
Happy birthday, Jen!
Yeah, happy
Thank
birthday,
you
Jen.
so
Woo!
much. Thank you.